Hey everyone, Jeff at Tidy Bytes here. We have made it to week 4 of Photos Month here. So this week's task to round out Photos Month is to organize something. And yes, that is pretty generic, but let me explain. The goal here is to prove to yourself that you can do it, especially if you've been staring your messy photo collection in the face for years even. You can make progress with this, especially if you've got this far through the first few weeks. If you can spend just 5 minutes one time and make some progress that you can see, it will motivate you to do more. I know this works because I've used it on myself. I've seen it work with other people. Even just a little bit of progress really helps us want to do more. So to avoid leaving it completely open-ended, what I'd like for you to do is choose one day or one event's worth of pictures and get just that small subset of the rest of your collection fully organized. And by fully organized, I mean in its permanent home for the foreseeable future. You're done with it. You know you don't need to go back and clean anything up, tag anything, rate anything, put it in some other folder because it's not where it belongs yet. It's just done. If you can manage that with one small part of your collection, then all it takes to apply that to the rest of your collection is more time. If you never start, you will never get anywhere. And that's what this week is about, starting that process. You've prepared over the last 3 weeks. Now it's time to put all the pieces together and take that first action to show yourself, yes, this can be done. I'm going to do it. And it's not even that hard. Now, very generally, no matter which platform you've chosen, what your photo collection looks like, everyone who goes through this organization process has to deal with 2 challenges. The first challenge is finding a way to choose which things you want to keep and which things you want to get rid of. Usually that means you're looking for photos and videos that are meaningful to you in some way, that are high quality, and that are at least somewhat unique. The second challenge is choosing a way to catalog your media collection in a way that works for you. Some common ways to catalog a media collection are date-based, when did I take the picture? Location-based, where did I take the picture? Event-based, what was going on, what was the occasion for these pictures, and also content-based, what is in the picture, what or who. Ideally, the platform that you have chosen for your media collection does 2 things for you. It makes the first challenge of choosing what to keep and what not to keep as frictionless as possible, and then it makes the second challenge, cataloging, as flexible as possible. Flexibility in the cataloging process is really useful because up front, at the beginning of this process, we often don't have a good idea of how we would most prefer to be able to search and browse through our photo collection. So if we choose one method and then decide months down the road, we don't really like that method very much, it's a pain to undo that or migrate to a new cataloging method. One of the reasons I like Mylio so much, and I've recommended it a few times, is that Mylio will take almost any collection of photo and video files, whether they're organized in any kind of a folder hierarchy or not, and it will index them internally and then provide you with almost any conceivable way to navigate through them. Now, this functionality is not restricted to Mylio. Mylio just does it well. But that's the kind of functionality that will seriously help you out as you go through this process more and more through your collection. So once you have your media collection centralized, which is what we did last week, regardless of anything else, the first thing I recommend is that you remove duplicates, because that is going to greatly reduce your workload going forward. If you have to remove duplicates by hand after you've started going through a lot of the organization process, that's going to be a lot of redundant effort. Having all of your media in one spot, say on one dedicated photo hard drive or uploaded to a single service or imported into Mylio or Monument or whatever you've chosen, having everything together makes it as easy as possible to go through that duplicate removal process. Now, if you're using something like Mylio or Monument, duplicate removal is built into those tools, and they provide a streamlined way to review and remove photos that are actually duplicates. Now, if you're not using Mylio or Monument or some other cataloging tool that has duplicate removal built in, there are external tools that'll do this as well. For example, Duplicate Cleaner Pro on Windows. There's a application called Photo Sweeper for Mac OS. I've put a link in the description of this video to a TidyBytes blog post where I discuss some of those and how you can use them to great effect if you have a large collection that you're working with. So that's step one, remove all duplicates. Step two is remove low quality photos. Now, low quality means something different to all of us, but generally, again, you're looking for things that are, say, out of focus, or they have motion blur, or the people in them have their eyes closed, or they're just honestly boring. One harsh reality of photo collections is we personally would not consider boring what probably most other people would. So if you feel like you have too many photos and you want to cut down that size, try to think of your photo collection as though it were somebody else's. So having gone through the removal process for the first two steps, now we're taking the opposite approach and picking what we think are the best photos. If you're like most of us, if you took 100 pictures, for example, you might have 5 or 10 that are really, really good. You don't have to get rid of the ones that you don't mark as excellent quality or a favorite, but going through the process of rating and being very picky about what you allow yourself to mark as an excellent photo helps train you to approach your media collection in a way that discourages hoarding and encourages what I would call conscious curation. You want to find the best of the best and focus on keeping those. And if you can do that, you'll end up with a collection that is much easier to organize and much more fun to go back and look through later, which is really the whole point, isn't it? So what if you have 100,000 pictures to go through? Does this process still work? Yes, it does. You just have to break it apart into small chunks. You might choose 1 day's worth of photos, or everything that was taken at a specific event, or everything that contains a certain person, or even just an arbitrary number like 50 or 100 photos. One interesting trick I learned a little while ago, if you're using a tool like Mylio that allows you to do unique kinds of date selection, is narrow the search down so that you see all of the pictures that are taken on a specific day of the year, but not a specific year. If you filter based on whatever day it actually is when you're doing the filtering, then you can work through your entire collection of photos, no matter how big it is, by taking 1 day at a time. And if you do that for 1 whole year, your entire collection is organized. And yes, it takes an entire year, but you're only doing 1 day's worth of photos and videos at a time, and that honestly feels much more manageable than most other ways you might approach the task. So, quick review, week 4 of Photos Month here in Tidy24. We're at the end of the month. Your task is to organize something. That means you're going to take one small subset of your whole media collection and organize it all the way through to completion. And that means you've put it on the platform you intend to use, you've got rid of any low quality or duplicate pictures, you've marked the ones that you really like, and you're done with that set. Thanks for following along with Photos Month here of Tidy24. If you made it this far, give yourself a nice pat on the back. And I will say bye for now, and I will see you next week as we start exploring some time management topics. That'll be fun.